Hi.
He's high nooning
Um,
me.
I am Scoremonger. I've been doing Twitch now for about 6 months, maybe 6 or 7. I was playing a match of For Honor while I was live streaming, and we encountered a
Sorry, I'm
player.
so sorry, Gooby. I actually
And
just got
this sort of phenomenon has happened before to lesser extents, but it's
There we
made me
go.
think of something that I've noticed over a prolonged period. I've been playing this
Yep, I
game
know.
for upwards
From the
of
section.
6,000 hours now. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm that good at it, but I'm not
Mind
the
if I,
worst. And
toast
I have
them?
some thoughts I want to share. And
Oh,
if you
come
feel like
on. You don't
listening,
want
that
to
would be
fight
pretty awesome.
now? Yeah, that's right, you run away.
I
Shinobi.
was playing in a public match with a
I
few
really
friends while I was streaming,
don't mind.
and we encountered a Shinobi player. And his name was Russian something
Oh,
or
village
whatever.
one.
You'll see his name on screen
And
if I decide to
Shinobi
show
came
it.
to land over
And
here again. Boop. Come on.
he killed me right away.
Come
I
on. We got a
pushed
piece of
onto a
candy.
point
Yeah,
with a group
here. Oh
and
no, he's
I
actually gonna
lost.
get me. Okay.
And I said good fight to
Say
him,
good fight.
and he immediately followed that up with spamming some sort of quick chat and taunting on me. This is not an uncommon phenomenon, and it's certainly not a phenomenon that is limited to For Honor.
Very
But
good. Say good fight
I
now.
kind of thought it was interesting what happened next, so I felt like sharing it.
Sure, my right hand.
Initially, I wanted to make like a meme edit or something, and I actually started editing it, because in the past I've made like little For Honor meme
Oh, I
videos.
got it.
And the idea was
There you
cemented for me
go.
after
Good
he came into
sweatship.
my Twitch
Beautiful.
chat and said all sorts of terrible things. For those of you who are watching me for the first time, I have a physical disability called arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. You can see with
There
just
we
my
go
hand here,
again.
you might notice it's a little strangely shaped.
Me when I run away like
This
this.
disability
Now.
largely affects dexterity, makes it a little hard for me to move some of my joints, makes some of my muscles weaker than others. And he came into my chat and he called me, I'm not even sure if I can say, oh, actually, you know what? I don't plan on monetizing this video anyway, so I'll just say it. He called me a crippled
I could sense
faggot,
it, dude.
which, creative, very creative. I have colorful hair and a physical disability, so you really got me there. I'm not sure if he's watching right now, and if you are, hi. Hope you're having a better day than when we first met. I think I'm making this video because
Come on, that
I want to
gladiator.
sort of address some
Somebody
vibes
need a septic
with the For Honor community and maybe the competitive gaming community at large that I think might resonate with some people. I feel like my viewers definitely
Oh, look at your
resonate with
health.
it on Twitch.
You're not feeling so brave
And it's
anymore.
something that's important to me, and I feel
Pretty
like this
hard
is
on your arm,
more
isn't it?
emotionally fulfilling than me just, making a video dunking on this guy, which I could
Good
make,
job, Cheesy.
but honestly, I don't have the effort to edit that much, and I don't think it's a productive
Again.
use of my time, and I don't think
I
it's
know, I
good for
was
the
making
community.
attempts to.
You know, like how sometimes when you're playing a
I got
match
one.
and you just get totally thrashed, and maybe it's just because of some perceived slight that the player does upon you, whether it's like an
I
emote
don't think these guys
or
are really
it's,
tough.
them saying thanks or whatever, and you just have like this
Ooh,
response where you
Mr.
just want to
Glad.
lock in and you just want to fuck them
What's
up and you
wrong?
want to emote on them and whatever. Uh, I'm not going to say I'm better than the rest of you. I do that
Frowny
too
face.
sometimes. But ultimately, I think that I think it's kind of
Uh-oh.
icky. And I'm trying
What's
to
it
do it
doing?
less and encourage others to do it less too,
Hey,
if possible.
princess.
For me,
Look at me.
my parents, like, I was never like a
That's
sports
actually
kid,
cute.
obviously. I'm not really
Let me
built
see.
for sports.
Oh, that's
Esports is probably
well,
one
that's
of
not.
is about as
Ooh,
close as it's going to get for
sorry,
me,
Mr. Glad. Not yet,
realistically.
but you wasted your
And
catapult.
I consider it personally very important to be sportsmanly. That doesn't mean that I won't, like, make fun of my friends and stuff, and it doesn't mean I won't talk shit, but it means fundamentally, if you beat me, I feel that it is sort of my responsibility at that point to acknowledge it and let you know you did a good job, assuming that you weren't, being an ass about it. And when I beat you, I expect, at least at the bare minimum, that you don't spit in my face. Hot take. There's a lot of people out there that when they encounter failure, being a frustrating experience that is universal to trying anything, we all fail at some point, and sometimes we fail for a long fucking time. It took me probably the better part of 2 years before I even started achieving remotely positive kill to death ratios in For Honor, and even longer for my account to reach a point where I had even a even 1.0. So I'm not foreign to the concept of failure. I think that there's a difference between being frustrated with losing or getting thrashed, even by somebody who is admittedly being a prick. I think there's a difference between that and saying some of the most obscene shit that you could possibly imagine in somebody's Twitch chat, or turning on your fucking microphone and hurling racial slurs at them, or calling them a no-life or a cheater or whatever. I mean, what even is the concept of, like, being a sweat or a no-life at a game? Like, sure, I think we all want to be good at games that we play. We all want to see ourselves improve, and we want to be acknowledged for those improvements. And yet, when we get our asses handed, sometimes there's an impulse to say things like, oh, well, this guy's just a no-life. He plays the game too much. Go outside, touch grass, whatever the fuck. And I think that makes us feel better when we encounter somebody that confronts us with the idea that, man, I guess we aren't as good as we thought, or, just makes us feel bad for whatever reason. When we encounter failure, we have this impulse to discount the reasons that we failed, instead of just being like, man, you fucking got me, and trying to learn from the experience, because that's really all we can do to truly improve, outside of, like, learning, like, whatever tips are floating around YouTube shorts or tutorial videos. I mean, to improve ourselves. And for this guy who came into my chat, it really irked me. Not because of the things he said. I've heard most of them before. He told me that I was unattractive, which I think is true. Maybe you don't, hopefully. I'm trying to present myself nicely here from the torso up, but if you saw me standing, you might feel a little differently. I walk on my knees, and I'm very insecure about it. But, like, he said all sorts of nasty things to me. He said I would never reproduce. He told me that I would die a slow, painful death. He said I was a burden upon the people in my life. None of these sort of things he actually knows about me, but he wanted to hurt me. You get your ass handed, especially if you see that the person who handed you their ass is playing in a way that should imply that they should be worse, like with their feet, or, like, just getting your ass kicked by a streamer. It doesn't feel good. I've been there. I remember in college playing against a berserker. I think his name was Benji something. I think I played against him for the better part of an hour, and I don't remember winning more than, like, a few rounds, and it was humiliating. But I was just really determined to beat him, and for me, I tried to do that constructively without insulting. It's like, I'm just going to keep trying. You might have killed me 20 times already, but I am not done yet, because I wanted to see if I could. I wanted to prove to myself I could. And to an extent, I wanted the approval of this guy who was so much better than me. I wanted him to see that I could do it. And I know that I feel that when I play with people who are newer to the game, or maybe people I've introduced to the game. When they beat me, they're like, they'll say things like, how about that? Or what do you think? Or, like, even sometimes they'll even say, like, are you proud? And I always try and tell them, yeah, dude, I'm going to fucking get you next time, but I'm proud of you. You did it. And I think moments like that are really important, because you're like, you're affirming to somebody, even if they're nowhere near beating you consistently, you're affirming to them, you can do this. Like, here's this player who's got way more experience and has failed more times than you've tried, and you beat them. And I think that that's valuable for them to know that they earned that. And I think that that's fundamental to cultivating a healthy mindset for playing games, is acknowledging when somebody beats us. You know, like you did it. The thing you were trying to do, that you put your effort into and that you put your focus into, you did it. And you deserve that win. And for this guy who I was fighting on For Honor, his response was to try and ruin my day. In fact, he was so determined to do so that after one of my viewers reported him, he made an alt account on Twitch called Crippled Faggot. And he came back and he said all sorts of horrible things to me. And there is a VOD for the event that occurred, which I'm going to put linked. You can see me giving into my more toxic impulses and talking shit back at him. That isn't necessarily what I would have wanted to do, you know, looking back on it. I mean, like, sure, I got my clips, you know. He came in, he talked shit, he got his ass handed, we roasted him, he came back, and we roasted him more. And he said horrible things that totally justify me saying horrible things, but I mean, it's not really a productive cycle we're in, you know. So I think that's why I'm making this video, is because I want to, you know, in some way try and contribute to this in a meaningful manner that isn't just me clip farming. So, you know, make of it what you will. I want to, you know, strive to have like a more pure competitive landscape that, you know, like isn't quite as toxic, and, you know, in a sense that is a little high and mighty of me. You know, I acknowledge that, but, you know, it is something I actually believe. I think that we can continue to play this game as long as it lasts, and, you know, games in the future. I think we can play these games in a way where we don't have to self-censor, but also we don't go out of our way to deteriorate the experiences of others when we're ourselves not having good experiences. I think it's possible that when we get our asses handed, that even if somebody is being, you know, the most inconsiderate, obnoxious bastard in the world, we can just, you know, do the little quick chat, good fight, and move on with it. And if you want to come hang out with us on Twitch, I'm trying to do this as a proper job. As you all probably know, if you're young enough that you're playing For Honor and watching this content, you are probably young enough to not have stable income. Or even if you do have a job, you know, it probably doesn't pay you enough. You're probably not really enjoying it, or maybe you're really struggling to find one. I've been on this job search for since I moved into this apartment and I got fired from my other job. It's been years. It's a difficult market, and it's even more so when you have a physical disability, especially one that is as uniquely frustrating as mine. So I'm trying to do this shit as a job, hopefully, over on Twitch. If you maybe want to take some time out of your day to come and spend it with me, you know, we can talk, we can play, maybe I can entertain you. I like to think I'm pretty funny, but maybe, you know, it's more fun just to laugh at me being an idiot, you know, or getting my ass handed. That's cool too, honestly. But I hope to see you over there, and I hope that you know, going forward in your matches, I hope that people treat you well and that you treat others well, even when they're not necessarily deserving of it. Have yourself a good day.